it's interesting because on the one hand, she's brilliant at marketing herself, networking, all of those things. She's got a lot of the Ava Perons about her. I've said that before. Yet weirdly, Prince Harry says, but when she comes to the UK, she gets too much attention.
If you don't like drama but love the royal family, then you're in for a treat. Let's dive into the latest royal rumblings. All right, folks, let's dive into the steaming kettle of royal tea. Meghan Markle.
It's terrible for her. It's awful. I could never bring her back to the United Kingdom because she has too much attention. Is there such a thing for too much attention for Meghan Markle?
Well, we should probably classify this all within the tabloids on trial conversation, because this is a conversation Prince Harry had with ITV when he spoke of tabloids on trial. And this is all about Prince Harry, his ultimate fight to take down the tabloid media in the UK. At this point, it's a financial issue because it was dealt with criminally a decade ago. And Prince Harry says that he's kind of, it's David versus Goliath, and I guess him and Hugh Grant are David, but they are taking on the tabloid media for hacking. It's horrible. It shouldn't have happened, but it's not a David versus Goliath, Prince Harry. Not a lot of people have millions of dollars to spend on attorneys to fight about something that happened 10 years ago. But the idea that
that well-known myth of David, the royal prince and movie star, taking on Goliath. I mean, it is amazing the analogies that he uses to describe himself.
Well, he also calls himself a dragon slayer. He also refers to himself as like somebody still has their video game controller in their hand on a Tuesday at noon. Like get a real job, Harry. But I also wanted to quickly reference back to the Hamptons, where spies told Page Six that Meghan was moving around this restaurant called Zero Bond in the East Hamptons without security. And she stopped to talk to News Nation and former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo. So Harry goes on TV to rip apart the media and say you can't trust the media. And then we've got Meghan in the Hamptons sitting there talking to one of America's most famous media personalities, Chris Cuomo, related brother to Andrew Cuomo, who was the governor of New York, got into a lot of trouble during the pandemic.
Is she a branding genius or just a grifter with a tiara? From her Oprah tell-all to Netflix specials and book deals, critics argue she's not just telling her story, but exploiting royal misery. Is it empowerment or pure exploitation?
I mean, Meghan, also Democrats, which I'm leaning towards Meghan endorsing Kamala Harris. But I just think that it's so funny how these two are on such different wavelengths. If the media is evil, why is Meghan Markle stopping at Chris Cuomo's table to have a powwow?
And if security is such a problem, if he's so worried that something terrible could happen to Meghan, then why is she wandering around without any security whatsoever? They really should try and sink their story.
She entered the restaurant by herself. Yeah. She walked up to the host stand by herself. Like there's an entire description about how she was by herself in this restaurant. And Prince Harry's literally telling us that we should be worried about Meghan Markle because, it was Thomas Cook was Googling the Princess of Wales before he attempted to assassinate President Donald Trump. Thomas Cook was not Googling Meghan Markle.
Yeah. So that is clearly where the bigger security concern is. But it's interesting because obviously, as you say, there was some criminal behaviour, and if there was any hacking going on, that is absolutely unforgivable. We don't know whether there was hacking when it came to his mother, Princess Diana, who, of course, he references during this interview for good measure. But also, he made a really interesting quote about what is in the public interest and what are the public interested in. And that's the line that he's trying to navigate. But for me, the problem I have with this is that this is a prince that has been pictured taking drugs, that has been open about taking loads of drugs, that has acted, in the most horrific way when it comes to nightclubs. Of course, let's not forget the Nazi costume. So it's not like he has not made himself newsworthy when it comes to the tabloids. It's not like he's lived a life where he sort of kept himself to himself within the confines of being a prince. He's actually made himself extremely newsworthy. Then he seems to wonder why he's newsworthy.
Yeah. I really loved Zara's tell-all book where she talked about putting cream on her penis.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, exactly that. And I think that that all completely undermines where he stands on this. And the other thing, of course, is you're actually absolutely right. The media is absolutely terrible and it's awful, but I'm going to write a book that is so telling about all of these sorts of things, where I reveal the most salacious details about my brother. I actually put my regiment and put the army at risk when it comes to the kills that I've made in order to make money. But boo-hoo, the tabloids are terrible to me. You cannot have it both ways. And I think that there was where Prince William, did the right thing and said, right, let's...
Drop your thoughts below. Now let's flip the coin to Prince Harry. He's in a legal brawl with UK tabloids claiming they hacked his phone. He's painting himself as David against Goliath. But wait, isn't this the same guy doing endless media tours?
Draw a line under this. I'll take an out-of-court settlement, because he understands that, firstly, although the behaviour of some of the tabloids was terrible, you have to have a relationship with them if you want a life of service going forward. But secondly...
Well, Harry has to have a relationship too if he wants people to watch his polo show on Netflix. Like, it's wild to me that he's constantly going after the media, but when Harry needs to promote Heart of Invictus,
Absolutely.
he's on Good Morning America. When Harry needs to promote the Invictus Games, he's on the Today Show. When Harry needs to promote Spare, he's sitting down with Anderson Cooper. Harry needs the media too. He just is refusing to acknowledge it. And you talking about Prince William sitting down and taking that settlement, Queen Elizabeth was alive, was highly aware of those negotiations, and was supportive of those negotiations, or they wouldn't have happened. Alive, conscious of everything that was going on. For Prince Harry to put words in her mouth contradicting what we saw her pursue while alive is, I'd say, pretty despicable.
Yeah, this is him saying that the Queen would be up there supporting his battle against the tabloids. Really, would she have been up there supporting you, talking about cream going on your penis and your brother's circumcision? I mean, what a load of old nonsense. And he is clearly, in order to get the public on side, prepared to invoke the memory of our late great Queen or his dead mother. And I'm sorry, I think that that is pretty low, because what this demonstrates is he's quite happy, as you rightly point out, he is quite happy to have the media question him on his terms. This sounds like he just wants good publicity, and he's not prepared to actually have any kind of critique of his position, critique of the private jets, critique of him revealing all of the intimate details, critique of his past behaviour, which has been repellent. Let's not forget the Nazi uniform before he lectures us on racism. So this is him just being a control freak. I'm happy for the media, but only if it's to my own gain and only if it makes me look good. Anything else, I'm not prepared to tolerate. And that is why I think he is completely well, I said over the weekend on my show, an oversized crying man baby.
I think that he looks like a catastrophic thinker, stuck in the past. He's always fixated on the worst case scenario. And I have a really hard time taking someone seriously that has a history of exaggerating the truth and has a different definition for the truth versus their truth. I sympathize with him. I do think that he is very concerned about his wife's safety and his family's safety. But I think that he is, no one wishes harm on his wife, literally no one. I just can't think of one single person that wants to see her harmed. And he has the money and the resources to take care of her, to visit the UK.
Justice or spotlight obsession, you be the judge. And here's a plot twist. Meghan, who supposedly can't return to the UK due to security concerns, was spotted solo in the Hamptons, chatting with media bigwig Chris Cuomo. So, is the media dangerous or not?
To me, this all just feels like an excuse for Meghan not to go back to the UK because she does not want to.
Yeah, but also I don't think anyone wants to harm Meghan, but I don't think she's liked. And I think the fact that this is all this monetizing of misery happened after she joined the royal family. I don't think that there's much love for Meghan. And again, if we go back to this this obsession that they both have with controlling the narrative, only wanting good headlines, only wanting to use the media when it's a softball interview, when it's in their favour. Well, of course, they're not going to want any of those headlines when they come here, and they are potentially booed because the British public have a great deal of affection for the royal family, and they see the hypocrisy. They see the level of hypocrisy, hoiking your story in a book, airing all of your questionable narrative on interviews, and then pleating on about privacy. The audacity is just beyond belief, and they have so little self-awareness that I'm just pretty staggered that he's continuing
it's also
with this.
it's audacity, but it's also stupidity, because Prince Harry is in the position to say, I'm here to talk about everything except for my family. I want to talk to you about how I'm fearful for my wife's safety, but I'm not going to. Prince Harry can say, I want to see the questions you're going to ask me before I sit down. Prince Harry can say, this is off limits, this is off limits, this is off limits. And he knows that by answering that he feels like this battle is central to his issues with his family, that's going to be the headline for 2 weeks, that Prince Harry's brave, courageous battle against the media is why he's no longer connected to the royal family. He has the power to control what they ask him. He has the power to say no. He could have even said no on camera. I'm gonna pass on that question.
Yeah.
It's like, do you not realize what you're doing? You're making it about. Instead, he says, well, I'm careful about how I answer this, and then says something that implicates that there are bigger issues.
But I guarantee you, though, by the way, he does control some of the questions when it comes to holding him to account, though. I mean, we've seen, the Tom Bradby interview. We've seen many interviews where it would be an absolutely obvious question to say, how can you talk about privacy when you invade the privacy of your family? Many of the things you and I discuss, how can you possibly reveal so much about, your regiment and all these sorts of things, yet complain about the tabloids going after you? And none of those questions are put to him. So I do believe that there is a conscious decision to not have those questions put to him, but he's quite happy to throw those little grenades around his family because he knows that will get him the press. You're quite right. That will give him the narrative that he wants, that he believes will make him look good. But luckily, there are people like you and I who can see through it like he's window lean, I tell you.
Folks, smash that subscribe button if you spot the double standards. Are Harry and Meghan brave truth-tellers or royal manipulators? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like and share for more royal drama. Until next time, stay curious and stay critical.